God bless football, Billy Gill.
God bless football, Mikey A.
God bless football, Stugotz.
Thank you, Mikey A. We have Golic and Lucy coming on to talk some college football. We have Chris Sims to join us. He will talk some NFL football. We have Mojo and the guy making their picks. But, Billy, we are headed out to Arizona. Huh?
We are headed out to Arizona. You excited?
I am excited. Yeah, of course.
Little road trip presented by Smirnoff. Come check us out in Scottsdale at the DraftKings Sportsbook at the golf club. This is a little fun time. All three of us are going to be there this time.
I'm excited.
Are you?
Yeah, how could I not be? It's Billy, it's you, it's the Jets, it's the Cardinals.
Right. Yeah, the Jets. It was the Jets part of it. That's why I was asking. Yeah.
How's the energy going to be? Because the last time that we went, when we were in Chicago, we had a lot of fun, but we weren't necessarily super invested in the game. I mean, I was obviously because I'm a big diehard Bears fan for that day, and it was the Bears and the Panthers. But this time, it's a team that the two of you care for deeply, and and
the Jets.
Because I'm a man of the people, I will be rooting for the Cardinals that day. So I feel like there's going to be some tension.
So, it's interesting because I was going to ask you, you did do that in Chicago where you became a Bears fan. The Bears went on a little run. Then you left Chicago and the Bears started playing awfully. So I was going to try to kind of, because I know what you like to do. You're in Arizona. All the Arizona Cardinal fans are there. And you want to put on your Arizona gear and become a fan of their team. But me and Mikey A, we're friends of yours. I mean, those people are strangers. And I was thinking maybe the big reveal should be that you're a Jets fan for the day. How about that?
Well, if you want a spoiler, here's the reveal. So not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, I said, you know what? I'm gonna order some Cardinals gear so that I can get it on sale and I can get it before I'm there, because if I wait till I'm in town, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So I ordered this, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12 days ago at this point. And it was supposed to arrive on Monday. Then it was supposed to arrive on Tuesday. Then it was supposed to arrive on Wednesday. Now it's supposed to arrive on Thursday. And we have a race against a flight. So it's very possible that my Arizona Cardinals gear arrives after I have already left for Arizona. And while I love the Cards and I want to be part of the Bird Gang, I'm going to be honest with you. If that gear arrives after I've left for Arizona, I'm not even opening the package before I send it back to be returned. Like, I have no use for Arizona Cardinals gear that arrives after I've already been in Arizona if I'm not going to wear it and be part of the Bird Gang together. So we're going to see. If I'm in my Arizona Cardinals gear, you're going to know Fanatics sent my clothes on time. If not, it was returned.
If it doesn't, I think you should be a Jets fan for the day.
Yep.
You know what I did yesterday, and it was a gamble, and I thought it'd be like a fun gamble, little game that I was playing. So I don't know, and Stugotz has mentioned, we have a lot of football coming up. The college football rankings came up. We're going to break those down with Lucy and Golic. A lot of fun in that segment. So I did something that I've thought about doing, but never have actually done. So I don't know if you guys go to like the TJ Maxx's of the world, right? And you walk around and you're like, this is a random team. How did their team's gear get sent to this store? And it's just because they send it, I guess, to like different markets or whatever, right? So I went knowing that my Cardinals gear hasn't arrived. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the store and see if I can find Arizona Cardinals gear in a Miami TJ Maxx. And when I go through the hat section, the first thing I find, a ton of Bears hats. And I'm like, I should have done this a month and a half ago. This would have saved me like $40. Just a ton of Chicago Bears hats. And then I start walking through like the shirts and I'm like, no way. I find an Arizona Cardinals shirt, but it's adult medium, so it doesn't fit me. So I'm like, unbelievable that I found in this random store Cardinals gear and Bears gear. None of it serves a purpose for me now.
Was there any Dolphins gear?
There was a lot of Dolphins gear, and I considered not buying for myself, but I considered, hey, early Christmas shopping. What are we thinking here? I thought about it, but I didn't pull the trigger on that, unfortunately.
You gonna put any Cardinals in your DK lineup?
No, I think I'm gonna. I should pick some Cardinals and Jets on Sunday, right, to add to the fun.
Is there a worse two organizations in the history of football that you could choose from than the Cardinals and Jets? I mean,
well,
Browns.
listen,
you're right. And Lions, yes.
If you're listening on the audio side, we're going to hear from Mike Rollis. We're going to hear from Mike Rollis later, and I think as a whole, we've given him kind of a hard time about his brother being the DC of the Cardinals and them giving up a lot of points. So I feel like maybe I owe him an apology on behalf of the show. Yeah, because everyone's been kind of rude to him. So maybe we'll get to that. But like,
I'd appreciate you. I would appreciate it if you would stop using we and everyone. It was just you. I mean, don't give me that look.
Are we certain?
Yes, we're certain.
Yeah, I'm certain.
We are certain.
I am certain.
All right, Billy, you have a plane to catch. You have to get out to Arizona. I have to meet you in Arizona. Mikey A has to meet us in Arizona. Do we have a daily fantasy game this week for our listeners?
We do. And in
Did
that
I surprise you? Yes.
In that game.
You want me to filibuster?
No, in that game, we are going to pick some Jets and some Cardinals. Go to dkng.co/Smirnoff. It's presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. Also, guys, Smirnoff, we do game days. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please drink responsibly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mikey, what were you laughing at? Just
missed opportunities. That's
and our watch party, by the way, also presented by Smirnoff. So if you want to go and meet up with us, it'll be a fun time had by all. Presented by Smirnoff.
Yeah, this is the best way I could promote this episode of God Bless Football. Every guest that we had on, Billy pisses off.
It happens.
No, I don't like that. Let's get to them though, because maybe he's right.
Billy, we're going to play Lucy or Goosey with Golic.
Ooh.
And what if with Lucy?
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Mike, I'll let you know you have been spared because the college football rankings came out, but the BCS rankings are not out just yet.
Oh, thank God.
So you're not going to get the BCS rankings today, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're going to spend the weekend at your house. And
Wait a minute.
Yeah. We'll leave it on a big board for you.
Hold on a second. Lucy, I'd like to offer you a unique opportunity if you'd like to be part of it.
Don't do it,
I don't
Lucy.
know if I like the sound of that.
Don't.
I'm interested in maybe expanding our committee to include Lucy this season if she'd like to be part of our BCS committee. So we have, I don't know if you're familiar, Lucy, we have our own BCS rankings, and it started as Billy, Chris, and Stugotz. Now, Chris Cody hasn't been participating in a while. Mikey's in it, but we didn't change the name, so it's still the BCS rankings. But we rank our own. We had been doing at the time top 10, and our playoffs were 6 teams. We had already expanded from 4 to 6, so we had a 6-team playoff, and then we had our outside looking ins, which were our bubble teams, our OLIs, and that's where like the origin of OLIs on the show came from. But now we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do because the actual playoffs have expanded to 12, but with the expansion of the playoffs, maybe comes an expansion of our committee, Lucy, if you'd like to be part of it.
I think I'll need a little more information. You should do that. Look, I'm not going to do it because I think this idea is bad, but you should do the Mike Leach 64 team playoff.
Oh, I like that.
You do 64 teams. I don't be a part of it. I just give you the horrible idea, and then you run with the horrible idea.
Okay.
You should do Mike Leach's 64 teams.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send you one of our final rankings from last year, so you kind of get the gist of it. It's minimal responsibility. I'll be honest with you. It won't take up too much of your time.
I think she
so
said
like
no.
the college football playoff selection committee, just like what they do.
But
listen. Every time they do the segment, I try and get the Dak Prescott hamstring pull off the bone to miss it.
Wow, jeez, Mike.
The mere mention of that segment upsets you, Mike. I mean,
oh God,
you sound sick.
Yeah, wait till you're a part of it. You'll feel the same way.
Well, maybe she could be the change that we need, Mike.
Right.
Or maybe we'll corrupt her.
Yeah.
I said she may class it up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in my dad's basement. I feel very opposite of classy right now. I did brush my hair today, so that's a win.
Mike Golic, have you been to Death Valley for a big time football game, college football game?
To LSU?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Okay.
My senior year, as a matter of fact.
Right.
They were ranked very high. They were undefeated. I got off the bus. I bought an LSU hat. And I got off the bus. I was a captain, so I was one of the first ones off the bus. And you go through a gauntlet of students going to the stadium.
Yes.
And I was walking through the gauntlet, just tiger baiting around me. I stopped, took off the hat, spit on the hat, threw it on the ground, and stomped on it. Now, that's something you only do when you're 21 and think you're invincible, because it was really a dumb move. Yet it did, I'll say, spark us on to victory on that particular game.
But have you been there, though, since TVs have been in color, though, Mike?
Like recently. I mean,
it's amazing what you say from a distance, Billy.
I know. You're going to kill me.
He offered to stay at your house this weekend. He'd say all these things to your face. I mean,
I'm just hoping when we see him in February or whatever, the Super Bowl, he'll forget that one.
So, Mike, I asked because Lucy is making her first visit for Meadowlark Media. She is attending the big game this weekend at Death Valley. Her first time there.
Well, plus the game I played in was a day game. This is a night game. It is going to be crazy. You will definitely love the experience.
I'm so excited. This has been the top of my college football bucket list for a long time. So I'm trying not to get too excited because I don't want to be let down. But I feel like my life is going to be completely different. I'll be a new person next week.
All right. What is next on the bucket list for you?
That's a good question. I don't know. We've checked off most of them. I'd like to go to a Michigan-Ohio State game at Ohio State. We haven't been to Ohio State yet. I still haven't been to Notre Dame, which I would like to go to. And then I really want to go to, this one's kind of weird, but I'd really like to go to a Montana State game. I've heard wonderful things about that.
Wow. Mike, she wants to go to a Notre Dame game. I'm assuming you would let her stay in your house, correct?
Oh, without doubt.
I'm a great house guest.
Yeah, she could stay in my house. Listen, anytime anybody's staying in a basement, I imagine your dad's around my age, maybe a little younger, to have wood paneling like that is just
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, the worst part is that all the decorations on the wall are also wood. So, he has decorated the wall with wood slabs over the wood. And you're like, why would you do that?
I love it. I love it.
Camouflage.
It's too much.
We're going to get to our games here in just a second. Lucy or Goosey for Golic. What if for Lucy? It's weird. It's strange. But Lucy, we have not spoken to you since the College Football Playoff Committee released their initial rankings here. So what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts as they unveiled their top 25 and really their playoff?
It normally, the first round of rankings, I try not to get too worked up over it because they're all going to change. Specifically, if you look at Georgia alone, they have two really tough games coming up. There are a lot of people who are going to repeat within that top 12 of just playing one another. I think my big sort of area that I was kind of confused by was Penn State and Indiana, where I don't think Penn State should have been ranked as high as they were. And sometimes I just sit and I know you guys have talked about it on the main show, but quality losses drive me up a wall. That's not a real thing. You need to stop making things up and you need to just look at wins and losses and how teams are playing. What are we talking about? Right. And I just feel like everything they say contradicts itself so much. Where they're well, we do the eye test. Well, if you did the eye test, Mizzou would never be in the top 25 and Indiana would definitely be above Penn State. But it's just they rank these losses as more important than these wins. And it drives me just absolutely crazy. But I try to tell myself that these things usually do end up correcting themselves. And with the exception of sort of the Florida State situation last year, there haven't been a ton of oh my God, that was so horrible. You got that so wrong. We're this year you have more opportunity to fix what you're getting wrong. And I just think it'll all work itself out. But every time I watch it, I always sit there and go, I don't know if you're watching college football. I don't believe you when you say that.
I think BYU kind of got screwed.
I agree.
Really?
They have a better strength of schedule, a better strength of record than Ohio State. They play basically the same quality schedule as Texas, and they have 2 wins against other teams ranked in the committee's top 25. That's as many as Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, and Indiana combined. They got kind of screwed, sitting at number 9. Obviously, they control their own destiny. I would go undefeated with the possibility of playing Colorado in the Big 12 championships. Now, Colorado doesn't control their own destiny. Iowa State has to lose, but Iowa State playing Kansas State, that certainly could happen. That would be, how about Colorado? Colorado, we talked about ad nauseum last year and they stunk. And Colorado this year, we're not really talking about them and they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, I saw this thing that like Colorado's TV numbers are down like 45% from last season, and they're significantly better than they were last season. We all kind of wrote them off after the Nebraska loss, which I did included, but they have really just turned things around. The thing with Colorado is they play Texas Tech this weekend, who was up until a few weeks ago one of the remaining undefeated teams in the Big 12. They kind of fumbled around. They just beat Iowa State. The Big 12, I've said this so many times, absorbed 4 Pac-12 teams and it absorbed all the Pac-12 energy with them, where they're all just beating the literal crap out of each other, which is like, great, you have a competitive conference, but you're really hurting yourself when it comes to the playoff, because I don't see a world where there's more than one Big 12 team in that playoff.
I have a question for you guys because, as you know, I'm dumb, and I got a lot of information when the rankings came out. So you guys both feel bad for BYU because they're ranked number 9 in terms of the rankings. However, when it comes to the bracket, they're number 4, so they still get a first-round bye. So which one should I be paying more attention to?
Here's the thing. You're right. If they win the conference, they'll be number 4. But what if they lose in the conference championship game? Now, they'll probably be higher than 9 because Tennessee probably loses to Georgia. If Indiana loses to Ohio State, BYU will probably jump up to like 7. And the thought, and Lucy, correct me if I'm wrong, is BYU would make it to the championship game, lose, and then the winner, be it Iowa State or Colorado, would have the automatic bid, and BYU could find themselves on the outside looking in. Though I think the only way you get 2 teams in the ACC and the Big 12 is to have the non-undefeated team, Miami and BYU, lose in the conference championship game. Because if Miami is going to be ranked in the top 5 throughout the rest of the year, and if they were to lose to, say, SMU in the ACC title game, SMU will be in with the automatic bid and Miami will be in. And I think if Iowa State were to beat BYU, both Iowa State and BYU were to be in. But if BYU wins and Miami wins, the Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, the 2 commissioners of the Big 12 and SEC, are going to say this is how it should be. 4 from the SEC and 4 from the Big 10 should be in every year.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things I find most fascinating about this playoff system is if you make it to your conference championship and lose, you are punished. Because even if you go and you play in the Big Ten championship and you lose to Ohio State, now you don't get 1 through 4. You have to play a second game. Like you're playing a second conference championship game. So you're playing an extra week than everyone else. And then you have to play another extra week in the playoff. You have to play in the first round. It seems like such a failure of the system where, like, I look at the Big 10 specifically, where most likely Penn State is going to make the playoff. They probably won't make the Big 10 championship game. Right. And Oregon is better than them. Ohio State is better than them. One of those teams, or Indiana, we don't know, will lose in the Big 10 championship game and have to play 2 more games than Penn State. Yep. They're getting punished for being better, which is crazy.
So earlier this week, I was saying, and I upset a lot of people in Indiana, which I didn't think was going to happen. But I said, if Indiana loses to Ohio State, best case scenario for them is don't make the championship game, because then you have the chance of having 2 losses and you're probably out.
They have to lose a close game. In that scenario, Billy, it has to be a close competitive game against Ohio State. But I understand where you're going. Go ahead. Keep going.
But they're more punished if they make it to the championship and lose than if they don't make it at all and only have 1 loss at the end of the season.
Yes, that's true. Sorry to cut you off. I think also one of the things that like kind of factors into them being mad at you is this is an Indiana team that never in a million years thought they would be in the Big Ten championship game. So I think they're very happy to get 2 extra games out of this team. Yeah. But yeah, it does punish them if you make it to the Big Ten championship game and lose, because now that's 2 extra games. That's a lot of wear and tear. It's going to make the first round a lot more interesting.
But here's the difference. They're sitting in the 8th slot, and if they get hammered by Ohio State, they may drop out of the playoffs. Yeah. Whereas if they beat Ohio State, now all of a sudden they're ranked in the top 5, right? They're going to make a big jump. So even if they were to lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, they would still make the playoffs because they'd be ranked higher. So while they would be playing an extra game, it may behoove them, because if they get beat pretty good by Ohio State, they may find themselves out of the rankings.
My scenario is specifically if they lose, because if they win, you want to be in the championship game and you'll probably still get in. If you lose and you still somehow make it because of whatever, because there's a lot of ties or whatever, right, and then you lose again, you're definitely out. So you don't want that scenario.
No, you do not. But if they were to lose to Ohio State in a close game, I would think they would still be in the top 12. And then, just like Lucy said, then they're sitting there not in the title game. That's kind of a break. They kind of actually get a break of not playing an extra game, and they're going to be in the playoffs.
What do you guys think? If you're a team like Oregon and you're undefeated headed into your conference championship game, yet you want to rest guys because you don't want to get them injured for the playoffs, like what is your take? Mike, what do you think about that? That idea, the idea of teams resting guys so they're healthy for the playoffs.
Well, no, you want the first round bye.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lose the championship game, now you're playing on December 20th. Because you'll be a 5 through a 12 seed, so you'll be playing. So no, you want to play your guys, get the rest with the first round bye. That's where you get the rest.
Lucy, you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the only thing that really makes these conference championship games like something to note is how you play in those to secure getting home field advantage in the first round, because that 5 through 12 is, with the exception of where Boise State ends up, is very like it's going to move. You can change things up quite a bit. So like if you get blown out by Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, that's probably not great for you, because if you win close, you might get a higher seed. And then now Bloomington, Indiana is hosting a playoff game in the first round, which is just so cool to say.
It would be very cool. Mike, what did you make of because I agree with Lucy. It'd be nice if the committee actually had a format that we knew how they were doing these rankings every single year. Now, Billy and I probably kind of like a committee that just blurts things out, and that's what they do. The head of the committee was talking on ESPN, and they'll just blurt things out. Yeah, but that team lost to this team. Yeah, but this player's hurt. Yeah. Now, that's my kind of committee, but it would be nice for the fans of college football to know how they come about these rankings. No?
Yeah, and they don't. I mean, it changes every week, every month, every year. It changes what they put the emphasis on. Listen, I would have no problem, because if you put them side by side, whenever we had the final committee rankings of the top four, if you incorporated the old BCS system, it was basically the same four teams. So if you go back to the BCS system to spit out your 12 and then you seed from there conference champs, you wouldn't have it's a computer doing it. It's a not opinionated. It's not the eye test. It's computer valued, and it's been basically the same as the committee top four since they instituted the committee. So you want to stop those questions and take the human element out of it. Just go back to the BCS computer rankings to spit out your top 12, and then you do the seedings from your conference champs.
Yeah, after the first round of the rankings came out, the Ward Manuel, the Michigan AD who's in charge of the selection committee this year, they came out and they do the presser like they always do, and their reasoning for ranking Penn State high was crazy. He was like, they've got a great tight end.
What was that?
I'm like,
amazing.
Yeah, he's great, but I don't know if that's the reason. In that case, Iowa should be number one. Put Iowa in the top 12. Like, it's crazy. And he was like, well, they had a really close win against USC, who is very bad. They beat Illinois, who is not very good. And their tight end is so great. And in my mind, I thought, well, if their tight end's so great, why doesn't James Franklin use him in late game situations? But that's not the point of that.
Because he's a bad coach.
But it was just one of those things that I was like, so your ranking for putting Penn State high with a loss over some undefeated teams is that they have a good tight end. Yeah. Maybe you should just not answer the question. Maybe you should maybe no comment it next time.
I am railing against the committee that I would love to be on, and it's exactly the way I would run the committee. And Billy said he loves that. Just, great tight end. But Billy, we don't care. I mean, you're an agent of chaos, and we just don't care. We don't care the way Lucy and Golic care. They care. We don't.
No.
Good tight end. Good tight end.
No. It's guys, look, you're so innocent. Here's the thing. Guys, this is what's going on here. We need to move things around. We need to shuffle things. So the first one is just like, we'll put this in there. When they ask you why, just say great tight end. And then by the end, it'll all be fine. It'll all be cleaned out in the wash once we get to the final rankings. The right teams will be in the right places. Before that, you just got to move things around, shake things up a bit, keep people tuning in on Tuesday nights to see the rankings,
It'll be cleaned up at the end because the teams play each other and they'll take care of it on field. And by the way, I really do. I've talked with Heather Dinich about this. I really do. When I'm done with this media crap that I've been doing for decades, I do want to be on the committee.
Same.
Because I'd love to be part of.
After you get a +1,
to rank the top 25.
+3.
And B, I heard the catering is phenomenal. So I would dig that.
Right. You want to be Ward Manuel? Is that what you want?
Listen,
Mike, I am totally good with you or Lucy being the president of college football. Either one, co-presidents, whatever you want. Yeah,
I'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be so good.
Golic just wants the food. He's so good. All right. I have Lucy or Goosey for Mike Golic. Mikey A, do you have some what ifs for Lucy? So, Lucy, just so you know, you can comment. It's your game, Lucy or Goosey.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask these questions of Golic, and you can comment after Golic is done answering these questions. And then on what if, Mike, I don't know why I'm explaining this, you're adults. On what if, Golic, you can chime in whatever you want, okay? Just so we're clear.
Should be a written set of rules here.
By the way, Stugotz, I looked this up. I don't know if this is going to change your opinion. There's no compensation if you're a member of the committee. However, you can be reimbursed for expenses.
Mike's out.
I'd still do it.
The way that I, receive college football information best is on the golf course, and not just the one by my house. I have to fly to go to the right one. So those are all expenses in making the right choices, I think.
Right. Can Mike still endorse diabetes and beef jerky at the same time?
Hey, if it pays, it plays.
Medication, I should say.
Yeah. Lucy's probably confused by that one.
Mike doesn't endorse diabetes. Golic here for diabetes. All right, here we go. Lucy or Goosey? This is for you, Mike, okay? Lucy or Goosey?
Lucy is good. Goosey is bad. I don't know if they told you that.
Lucy is good. Goosey is bad. You would be shocked if Miami loses to Georgia Tech this weekend. Lucy or Goosey?
Wait, so
this would be agree or disagree now.
Lucy,
now
yes.
we've confused things.
Yeah, I think I made things worse. Lucy, yes. Goosey, bad.
So, Mike, if you would be shocked that Miami loses to Georgia Tech, you would say Lucy. And if not, you would say Goosey. Now I have to explain it.
For as close as they've been playing games, I still would go Lucy. I think they're going to win this game, but man, they have been making it tough on themselves. Cam Ward is probably going to win the Heisman because he's had to pull their asses out of the fire more times than we can count. So I would probably go Lucy on that.
Lucy?
I'm going to go Goosey just in the sense, it's this honestly same reason you said Lucy, where I think that they have just been playing with their food for so long, and it's Mario Cristobal and it's Miami, that it would not have shocked me to see them lose to Duke, Virginia Tech, any of these games that were already a little too close. But Cam Ward is the perfect. They have a giant open gaping wound and they just put the Cam Ward Band-Aid on it and it's completely fine. Next year it's going to be really interesting, but he should probably. I put Ashton Genty as my top Heisman choice right now, but I would not be surprised if they lose. I don't think they will, but I would not be surprised to see them lose any game just the way they've been messing around all season.
I just keep thinking about a Penn State team that has 2, maybe 3 losses, and Ward Manuel keeps coming out and saying, good tight end. Just
good tight end. Really good tight end.
Tyler Ward,
what a tight end.
Mikey A, do you have a what if for Lucy here? Do you have a what if for us?
Yeah, I've been trying to stay out of it because Mike Fuentes told me that there's not a spot. So thank you for coming to me.
Wow.
Yeah, Lucy, what if Miami loses to SMU in the ACC championship game? Do they make the playoff?
I'm going to say yes, I think they do. I don't think the roles are reversed. I think if SMU loses in the ACC championship game to Miami, SMU does not make the playoff. But Miami won, and I hate that this matters, but it does. They're a brand name school. They're the U. People care about Miami, and I think that really helps their case. I think that it also depends on the loss, where if you lose by 30 to SMU, your chances are probably a little bit worse. But if it's a close competitive loss, I think they're going to put Miami in. Also, if you look at the rest of the SEC schedule, not as much the Big Ten, there is a lot of cannibalizing happening there, where Georgia's going to play Ole Miss and Tennessee, Texas and Texas A&M are going to play each other. There are going to be more losses occurred in the SEC that only helps Miami out. So I still think they would make it if it's a close loss.
Yes,
right.
I definitely agree. I mean, if Georgia were to lose to Ole Miss or Tennessee or Ohio State lose to Indiana, Miami will keep moving up. They're 4 now. They would be 3 or 2. And even if they lose in a title game, they're not going to drop 9-10 spots out of the playoffs, and SMU would get the automatic bid. If SMU loses, they're out. There'll be a 2-loss team. There may be a couple of 2-loss teams in the top 10, but it won't be an ACC team. It'll be SEC teams.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Mike Golic, back to you. Lucy or Goosey? Mississippi is going to beat Georgia this weekend.
I think that's Goosey. I don't think that's going to happen. Jackson Dart certainly started out as a Heisman favorite. He is playing well. We know that offense is a high-powered offense. They've been playing well. If Carson Beck would just not turn the frickin' ball over,
Crazy.
I mean, because their defense is just stud-like yet again. And Carson Beck, and I imagine they have to be just hammering him all week, but he's done it multiple games, had multiple turnovers. I don't know what's going on with him, but I would go Goosey on that. I think Georgia wins.
I also think Georgia wins. Carson Beck, genuinely has been crazy the last 3 games. Like, he is just not a care in the world turning that ball over. My issue with that is I do think Georgia is just better than Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin tends to struggle in these big games, so I'm leaning towards Georgia. I just think they're more talented. Ole Miss doesn't seem to ever win these. Like, if you look at the LSU game a few weeks ago, they never trailed and lost. Like, that's just the most Lane Kiffin Ole Miss shit ever. So I do think Georgia wins this one too.
I have a what if follow up, Mikey A. I'm sorry. Okay, it's a Lucy or Goosey what if follow up. I can't believe this. I'm merging the 2 games.
Wow.
What if Mississippi beats Georgia at home? The rest of the schedule is easy. Will Mississippi get in if they beat Georgia at home this weekend?
What's their ranking now? It's like 15, 16?
They're 16.
Yeah, I think still some stuff would have to work in their favor because they do already have 2 losses, which LSU is not a bad loss. Kentucky is a bad loss. That is not a loss you want on your resume right now. I think there would still be things that need to happen to work in their favor. And also, I think it still depends on how Georgia plays the rest of the season. Because if Georgia loses to Ole Miss and then proceeds to lose to Tennessee, that's a loss that doesn't really mean as much anymore. So I think it would really depend on how other things play out, but it obviously would help Ole Miss's case quite a lot.
You know what? Just for the fun of it, I'll say they make it.
Yeah,
because I do think there will be a 2-loss team that makes it, and Texas A&M.
Oh, there are going to be multiple.
Texas A&M may get a 3rd loss against Texas. We know Bama and LSU, the loser of that game, is going to be out because they'll have 3 losses.
Right.
But the winner will have 2.
That's what
Ole
I'm
Miss
saying.
will have 2, and others will have 2 as well. I'll go out on a limb and say that would be a big, big win against the committee's number 3 team. So that would put him in position to make it.
Hotty toddy.
Yeah.
Wow,
Gosh
new
almighty.
game.
Stepping out.
Yeah, Billy, new game. Hotty toddy. Mikey, go ahead.
I love playing what if this far out because so many things can happen.
Yes.
So here we go. What if Bama, LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee all have 3 losses?
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Say the team
crazy.
slowly again, okay?
What
Just say
if?
it slowly,
Okay.
okay? Slow.
Bama, LSU,
Yep.
Georgia,
Yep.
Ole Miss,
Yep.
Tennessee.
Okay.
So Vanderbilt gets the automatic bid, is what you're telling me. That's where we're
That's
at.
the game. It's what if. What
I'm
if?
okay with that. Wow, that's crazy. Even if they all have 3 losses, I have a hard time believing that there still won't be 4 SEC teams in this committee because, well, if you guys watch
Three 3-loss teams are going to make it in this scenario.
Okay, hold up. Listen, I'm going to explain it first. When I was watching the committee, Heather was on it, and she talked about how the last few years for the college football playoff ranking, there has always been a 3-loss team within the top 12. Now there are 12 teams in the playoff, so naturally you're going to see teams with more losses make it. But if you looked around and listened to, which it doesn't matter what they say because they're just spewing bullshit, but the committee values the SEC more than they value anything else. And so if there are 4 3-loss teams in the ACC, well, the ACC is just bad. But if there are 4 3-loss teams in the SEC, then that is such a great competitive conference. And it matters that the 3-loss teams aren't Vanderbilt or Ole Miss. They're Alabama, they're Georgia, they're Tennessee, they're brand names that people want to see. I wouldn't see all of them getting in, but at least 2.
Georgia and Tennessee would have to lose 2 more games each.
Yeah.
Well, Vanderbilt's on Tennessee's schedule.
Right.
Yeah,
and Georgia plays
That's
Mississippi.
true,
We just
man.
discussed
There's
that.
a few
right?
games there, Mike. There's a few games.
It could happen.
I would go with the stalwarts of the conference and say 2 would make it, Georgia and Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love 3 making it, and Indiana sitting there with a close loss at Ohio State, and they don't get in.
Oh, it's so sad. So sad.
Lucy or Goosey, if that happens, Mike Golic, if Indiana has 1 loss, and that 1 loss, okay, is a competitive game at Ohio State, is Indiana in the playoff? Lucy?
Oh, that's Lucy. Yeah. They're definitely in. They're sitting at number 8 now. A close loss, and that's in a couple weeks. That's November 23rd. So they could even move up closer because Georgia and Tennessee, I think, play in 2 weeks. I think they play the week before that. So if Tennessee were to lose that game, Indiana would move ahead of Tennessee. So, yeah, I think if it's a competitive game, I still think Indiana is in. Then it reverts back to what we talked about before. They sit there with one loss in the top 12, not in a conference championship game with the possibility of getting 2 losses and getting knocked out. So I think a competitive loss to Ohio State, and they're locked in.
Yeah, I agree. I think some things that we kind of leave out in the discussion of Indiana is not that they're winning games, but how they're winning games. They trailed for the first time this season last week, 10-0 to Michigan State, and they won that game 47-10. Indiana is destroying teams. They are not casually winning anything. And if they keep continuing to play like that and they play Ohio State close, like it's hard to push them out, especially when they have Michigan this week. So you finally have, obviously Michigan's not as good as they were last year, and it's a very, very down year, but like finally some like a little bit of more meat on their schedule. And I think it's a really interesting game because Indiana and Michigan it's always weird, even when Indiana is bad and Michigan is really good. And Indiana just has had such a hard time getting over that hump. So I'm very excited for this weekend. It's like a first like really real test for Indiana. And I think they win, and I think they win big. I think they cover.
All right, we'll get you both out of here in a second. Mikey, do you have a final what if here? Because I have one more Lucy or Goosey.
Yeah, I have one more easy one. I gave you a really hard one, so I'll end it easy.
That didn't seem fair.
No, it didn't, but that's the point of the game.
Yeah.
What if Washington State runs the table?
So that one is crazy. That is such a unique situation because I believe they only have one loss right now.
They do. They're 7-1. Yeah.
So they don't have a conference championship game to help them, and they don't have an automatic bid to help them, which really, really sucks. I think it honestly comes down to sort of what happens with Boise State and what happens with the rest of the field, because Washington State can win out, but they still do not control their own destiny in any way, which really, really sucks. I think it would take a lot of work from other teams losing, from potentially Boise State losing, because I think they, and I'm not 100% sure, I think they technically count as the group of 5 bid now because they're still Pac-12, but they're Mountain West, and we really don't know what their conference is at the moment. It's a really shitty situation because they are a good football team and they are winning a lot of games. They just don't control really anything, and it's going to take a lot of extra help from a bunch of other teams losing to really like push Washington State forward, which sucks.
Yeah, I have an idea.
What's that?
A helpful idea. And I'm not sure if you'll agree with this, Mike.
Golic is skeptical. I mean, go ahead.
What if at the end of every season we have a non-conference conference championship? So essentially they would have to play Notre Dame. Winner gets in. Loser. See ya, buddy. Better luck next year.
It's a good idea, and it's helpful. It is very.
No,
yes.
No, it's an extra game that's not needed. No.
Well, it would help one of those teams.
No.
Okay.
I say no, and I think even if Washington State runs a table, they're not going to get in there.
Yeah.
The only way they'll move up is if teams in front of them, which they will, some will lose because the rest of their schedule, only one team is actually 500, and that's Oregon State. The rest are below 500, so they won't get helped by strength of schedule. I just think they're just caught in a bad place at the wrong time situation for Washington State.
All right, last one for you guys. Lucy, going to you first here. Lucy or Goosey? Notre Dame will run the table.
Lucy.
Yeah, wow, okay.
There's not confidence. Army is what's sort of left that's really worrisome. USC is really bad. They're not what they're supposed to be. Florida State isn't really good. And since that loss, Notre Dame has played incredibly well. Riley Leonard looks great. They've really fixed some things. So I think they'll run the table.
The passing game from Riley Leonard has really, really improved. They still have to be sick over that loss to Northern Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
They should have to play them. If they win the national championship, they should have to play Northern Illinois again.
Yeah. After Washington State.
But I mean, how about the disrespect for Army? 8-0 and number 25. Yeah. I mean, they have the leading rushing touchdown rusher in the country. I mean, my God, but Notre Dame should run the table. They're trending in the right direction to not have another NIU game, but play the way they've been playing, and there should be nobody that stands in front of them for that.
I'm completely on to you. I know what you're doing. You're saying, how about the disrespect for Army, so that when you guys disrespect them and just destroy them, you're like, they were only 25. Right? Yeah, no, you want them up at like 18 or something. Like, we beat the 18th team in the country.
Hoping they move up a few spots.
Yeah, we know you are.
I'm on to you.
Yeah.
You're going to get in anyway. How about you let Army win and just move on? Both
Army wins. Notre Dame's not in.
Oh,
Army
you're in.
loses
Oh,
one
you're
more
in.
game. They're out.
Listen, there are certain schools that are in. It
doesn't exist without Notre Dame. You know it.
And 4 3-loss SEC teams.
Exactly right. Come on.
All right, we appreciate it. Lucy, enjoy Death Valley this weekend.
Yes,
you're gonna have a blast. Golic, what game are you doing this weekend?
I have Detroit at the Texans.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yep.
That is a good game. All right, we'll talk some NFL with you next week, Mike. Check out Gojo and Golic wherever you get your podcast, and 8 to 10 every day on the DraftKings television network. Mike, Lucy, thank you very much. We will talk to you next week.
See you.
We've discussed doing a lot of things with you. This is it. It's my only request. It's my last request. I just want to spend one night in the barn with you. That's it. Watching football. Yeah.
That's a doable thing. I mean,
Okay.
I got to think at some point we can make that happen for sure. But yeah, that's hopefully Thursday night would be the way to go somewhere in the future. Maybe with some of these college football games, college football playoff, maybe we can work one of those days out too. We'll see.
Okay.
I thought last year when we requested that you come down to us for a month and break down game tape with us for no
Yeah,
cost
for a
was
month.
completely
I'm gonna come down
reasonable.
for a month. Yeah,
You didn't want
right.
to.
Yeah. Hey, guys, they want to know why I'm not a good father to you, but they want me to come down and hang out with them for a month and watch film. Okay.
Film, yeah.
A month. It was a tad aggressive now that I'm thinking about it.
Just a
We
little.
start high and then you negotiate down, you know?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
We got nothing, so it didn't work.
PFD with Mike Florio every day on Peacock, the Unbuttoned podcast, Football Night in America. Chris Sims is with us. We are getting late in the season. I mean, we're halfway there, but it feels like the season is flying by. We were discussing right before you came on, is there the potential that Caleb Williams is the third best quarterback in this draft?
I mean, there is that potential. There is. I mean, Bo Nix is good. Drake May is
He looks
certainly
good,
showing.
Chris. Yeah.
So he does. I mean, Drake May, I think the thing that impresses me more than anything is his running ability. I was saying on my podcast earlier this week, he's literally a good enough runner to where you have to have a spy on him on third downs.
Right.
He has that type of speed. So, yeah, he's done some really good things. There's no doubt about it. Now, I think it's a little overblown at times where it's like, yes, it's good things. I get that. But I think because he's exceeding our expectations, we go, oh, who cares that he threw 2 interceptions and fumbled the ball last week in some big spots? So there's still some things to work out there. But the high-end talent is eye-opening. There's no doubt. And we'll see. The Bears have lost their way. They certainly have. This is a big week for Chicago, Matt Eberflus, all of that. I talked about it a little last week with you guys. I've been a part of that. I was on a Broncos team in 2009. We started out 6-0. We went in a bye week, and we totally lost our fucking way and lost 6 in a row on the back end of the bye week. Wow. And it feels like that with Chicago right now. And that can happen in the NFL. And then you talk about the Hail Mary and everything that went there. There's real dysfunction. This is definitely they better get back on schedule this week. They better win the game, or people are going to be calling for Matt Eberflus's head.
That's interesting what you said about the 6-0 team that you were on. Was there a feeling in that locker room you just wanted to keep playing? The bye week was a bad thing?
Definitely. Yes? When you're hot, you don't want it to end. You just let's keep playing, let's keep going. Because I think with the experienced players and people that have been around the league, you understand, a week off, man, we're going to lose a little attention to detail. You know, some of our technique is going to be off when we come back. Guys will be, pads won't be as low. We'll forget what, the combat of the week to week into Sunday is all about. You kind of lose that edge a little. And that's what happened to us. We did. We kind of were feeding off of, hey, we're working hard. We're in a great schedule. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we do this. And Sunday, we just find a way to win a football game. And we can never kind of recapture that magic or regain that. And I think we're seeing the Bears kind of go through that right now.
For Caleb, is it unreasonable to stop and think? Because there was lots of expectations on him and the Bears going into the season. Wow, number 1 pick. Look at all the weapons they got him. They should make a deep playoff run. Is it unreasonable to think hey, he's also just a rookie? It's not going the way we thought. Other rookies are doing better. CJ Stroud had a great rookie season, but sometimes this is what happens with rookies, and he'll figure it out.
Well, rookies, yes. And then, the support system. Like, we don't ever talk about Jaden Daniels being under pressure. We haven't talked about Jaden Daniels not having a run game on a week-to-week basis, right? Yeah. There's been weeks there, and I'm not making excuses for Caleb Williams, but it's just been less than in those departments. And then there's been other weeks where, like I said last week against Washington, when they lost that helmet, he tried to play hero ball. That was the biggest thing about him coming out in the draft. Was it just like, hey, let's just take what the defense gives us? The NFL's a little different. You can't make magic happen on every play and just go, wait, I'm going to will us with some great play to win the football game. And I think he's learning that. And every now and then he kind of falls into this little spell of, I'm going to make something special happen here. And I go, oh, no, just read the defense. He was open for 10 yards. If you just keep doing that, special will happen. And I think he's kind of putting the cart in front of the horse that way a little too much. But, man, let me just say this and make this clear. The physical talent I see and still what I see, I would be shocked, right, if it doesn't work and if he isn't at least one of the top two guys. I would be shocked. I'm not saying he's definitely going to be better than Jaden Daniels, but I'd be shocked if it's not him and Jaden, the top two guys. I will say that.
Chris, if I put you in charge of the Bears and I say hire the next head coach and you're doing it with the idea of the best head coach for Caleb Williams, who would that person be?
Yeah, I think I go to Ben Johnson first. I think that's where I would think of.
Lincoln's not in that discussion, right? There's no way.
Who's that?
Lincoln Riley, there's no way?
No fucking way. No way.
Okay,
I mean, Lincoln Riley, if I was a college place, I wouldn't know if I would think about hiring. I don't know why USC committed so much money to him, what they were thinking. He doesn't seem like a Southern California guy in general. Nothing makes sense there. But they owe him such money, they can't even get rid of him. From my understanding, it's like a $90 million buyout. So it's like they're stuck with him unless he decides he wants to leave and go somewhere else like that. But no, I'd call Cliff Kingsbury before I'd call Lincoln Riley and go down that road. Okay. So, but no, Ben Johnson, I think, is the guy that I look at more than anybody. Hey, Todd Monken and what he's doing there in Baltimore, he just starts. He needs some talk or some deserving accolades as far as what he's doing on that side of the ball. And then the other guy I'll throw out is the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, Zach Robinson. He's another one that I don't know if he's ready yet, but I do like that offense. It's creative and got a lot of answers down there in Atlanta, and you see that they're pretty damn successful moving the football.
They're a sneaky good team, Atlanta, huh?
Yes, they are. Well, the all-line's real good. Cousins continues to get healthier. And because of that, he can drive the ball more because he's been able to push off that leg a little bit. The offense, like I said, is creative. It fits him. It's got answers for everything. And Kirk Cousins, other than Joe Burrow, when he's one of the best pocket passing quarterbacks in football. And if you play zone, forget about it. He's a surgeon. He will absolutely destroy you if you play zones, and he will just pick you apart surgically all game long. They got it going. And then their defense is well coached. It's not super talented. They can stop the run a little bit, and they got a good secondary. But, yeah, Atlanta's the cream of the crop in the NFC South. I don't think there's any question about that.
Sims, what is going on with CJ Stroud? Because you mentioned him earlier, and I saw you tweet out that Jaden Daniels is more advanced at this point than CJ Stroud was a year ago, which is crazy. But the team is good. CJ's playing okay. We were expecting greatness, though.
Well, yeah, they're doing a disservice to CJ Stroud. I broke this down on my Wednesday podcast. I've been saying this for a few weeks. I know I said this to you guys last week. One, schematically, the way they do pass protection is being exposed. Let alone their interior part of their offensive line is not good. Whoever plays left guard gets beat like 80% of the time if he gets in a one-on-one matchup when it's called in pass protection. So that's real issues there. What I mean by this, and then, okay, for CJ Stroud to go 10 for 30, I mean, this isn't Anthony Richardson where we're like, oh, he's raw and he's just not accurate throwing the football yet. This is CJ fucking Stroud. It's the most accurate thrower in football. It's him or Joe Burrow, period. Mm-hmm. Like, so there's an institutional big problem here if you're seeing those type of numbers with CJ Stroud. Obviously, they missed the receivers, but what I mean by that he's behind Jaden Daniels, watch the games this week. Jaden Daniels is pointing out protections, what he's doing at the line of scrimmage, all of that. with the Texans, C.J. Stroud does none of that. Now, this is not because of C.J. Stroud. This is how they run offense down there in Houston. This is a little bit of the Shanahan scheme, of course, but it's Shanahan light. It's the basics of Shanahan. And they let the center pick the protections and do all that. And what you see with that, too, is C.J. Stroud at times, because he's told to trust the center and that they'll pick it up, he's going, wait, I got 5 linemen. Okay, they blitzed 5, but they told me they were going to figure it out. Oh, wait, they didn't figure it out? Wait, we didn't even talk about this. Where do I throw it hot? What's my answer when now this guy's free? There's none of that. They're just going like, hey, CJ, if he fools you, just make him fucking miss and make a play. Okay. His answer to the offensive coordinator should be, hey, fuck you. You go out there and make a fucking play in that circumstance. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to do that to me over and over? Yeah. I mean, so it's just not good offense by them right now. And that's where there's real value in the quarterback doing the protections, because now you're on the same page with the offensive line. You know where your problems are, and if there are problems, you can address them. But when you're just trusting the guy and you're in the shotgun, oh, wait, I'm looking over here. Oh, wait, no, they told me we were going to pick up if they just bring one guy. Oh, the corner's coming and he's about to earhole me. Oh, well, we don't even have a hot plan or a contingency plan. So they are failing him right now, and that has to pick up in Houston big time.
Mikey, what are you laughing at? The idea of CJ turning around to his offensive coordinator and going, fuck you, you come in here and do it?
Like one of the nicest, most polite quarterbacks turning to his offensive coordinator and just being like, fuck you.
Yeah, well, it's just as a quarterback, you want answers, right? And you want to know. There's nothing worse than playing in an offense going, wait, they didn't really talk about what if they do this and what happens if they blitz this guy. That's a horrible way to drop back. Can you imagine dropping back with like 5 300-pounders coming to rip your head off and going, I hope we got them all picked up and I'm not really sure where we're going, but yeah, I'll look downfield and make the right read, guys. No problem. Okay, yeah, no problem. It's a horrible way. I've been involved in that before, and when the quarterback doesn't have answers or hasn't been taught those type of things, right now he's just trying to get it done with ability, and that's just too much to ask of anybody in the NFL.
Without Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs.
And exactly, which also, yes, right. You know, they take pressure off those things. They make defenses simpler because defenses are like, wait, you know, we want to blitz, but oh no, we're going to leave Nico Collins one-on-one. We can't do that. So those guys help out some of this stuff. But now that they're not there, teams are like, well, screw the rest of these receivers. They're not that scary. We're emboldened. We'll be a little bit more pressure-based. We'll do some of this stuff. And it's definitely caused some problems there in Houston.
Sims, Billy is sending me private messages.
Those are private.
I think
I can see it happening, and I just like want to shrink back and allow it to happen.
What are these private messages about?
He asked me if I thought you were on steroids. I responded yes.
You think I'm on steroids?
You do look a little cut.
You're looking pretty jacked today. Like your arms, the way you were positioned, that shirt looks like it's about to break.
I am fucking jacked. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I'm 6'5", 235, and I'm an ass kicker. So yeah.
Lately it's looked a little bit larger than in the past. It's all.
No, you know what it is? I'm not larger. I've actually lost a little weight. I do think I'm a little more defined, maybe.
There you go.
I told you about me doing CrossFit. I do CrossFit with my daughter 3 times a week.
Billy missed that. He was out last week at a Harvest Fest.
Oh, well, this explains things. Yeah.
And I've been like trying to watch what I eat later in the day. Like I got on the scale like week 3 of the NFL season, and I was like, holy shit, I'm 245. So I had to start like watching what I eat a little bit, and so I've done that. But I also just think it's the way I'm sitting, maybe, and all that. But I am jacked. Don't get it fucking twisted.
No, that's
for
it,
1
Sim.
second.
That's it. You're fucking.
I'm not
jacked.
saying you're not jacked. I'm just saying maybe performance.
I would never. I'm not saying I would never. I would say I would never at this age. When I get to close to 60 and all that, if I feel like HGH or something like that's going to improve me, then I'll jump into that.
Hold on a second. You're going to start roiding at 60?
No, he's right. That's when you do start roiding.
That's kind of when the right time to do it from everybody I've heard. Yeah.
Right, if you want to feel younger.
Nitro.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. We should introduce you to Nitro, the American Gladiator, Chris Sims. Yeah. Like he's a friend of ours.
I remember Nitro.
Yeah, so he would come on with us. Don't ask why. But last season, he came on with us multiple times just to go over his personal fantasy football team. And he was a bit of a novice. He couldn't figure it out, but we were trying to help him out with it. And then every time he was on, he was offering to give Stugotz steroids. So maybe we can kind of put you in contact
never sent
with
them.
him.
I love it. I don't really know if I want like full-fledged steroids. I don't know if I want that.
Just intro stuff. Just
testosterone, some
Yeah.
HGH.
Yeah, whatever. However that goes.
Little entry steroids, and then you kind of really dive deep into
Baby
it, you know?
steps.
Well, why don't you
Gateway
try it so you
steroids.
could fill out that Dolphin sweatshirt one day?
I mean, I feel like I'd get addicted to steroids, and then I'd be too big, you know?
Yeah.
Or I'd
Right.
probably have a heart attack. I'd be like the one that it's like, oh, he did steroids, and he died at like 37 years old of a heart attack.
Yeah,
Like, how did that
right.
happen? It's like, well, he took too many steroids. And
Well, then you always hear about
your.
your nuts shrinking too, and that's I'm not really into that either. So I don't know.
I have
where that
2
goes.
kids. You can take them. I don't need them
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay. Good.
Take them.
Yeah.
Sure, you left them at Harvest. Your nuts. I know that.
There was children there, Chris Sims. Jeez.
Billy, you love your kids. You really want your kids in the barn with Chris Sims? Like,
No, my kids are not. I'm never going to Chris Sims' house.
there you go. Someone mentioned the Dolphins there. Dominique Foxworth had something interesting to say about the Dolphins last week, Chris. I don't know if you heard it. He said he felt like watching that game that the Buffalo Bills were a little bit scared to tackle Tua. They didn't want to lay a big hit on Tua. How'd you feel about that?
I don't know about that. I do think there's like a human element though, where
There has to be.
there is, and again, most guys in the NFL are good guys. They are, but I don't know if I felt like they were scared. Maybe they were. Maybe since they were the team there, I didn't get the sense in that watching the football game. But he did a good job.
I can tell you when he took off the scramble that one time, it's the greatest call in the history of broadcasting. Kevin Harlan started that call by saying,
I know.
"Oh, no.
I was
Oh, no."
watching. Yes, I know. And yeah, there was definitely like a play or two like that. We were like, oh gosh, is he going to have to take a hit here? Watch out. He's
Yeah.
done a good job of protecting himself. Like we talked about, I think the NFL and the defenses the last few weeks are adjusting to this new way that they're playing. Right? Where we saw it again last week. Run on the edge. They did a good job staying consistent with that last week. A lot of short, quick throws on the edge early in the football game, and that slowly kind of widened out the Buffalo defense, and then they started to hit some throws down the middle of the football field. So they do got a cool little formula working here, but is it sustainable? Can they continue to do that and stay ahead of the curve and be creative doing all that stuff? I don't know. This will be a good game. I'm excited for this Monday night game this week. You know, you guys are better than 2-6, and they're definitely when they're healthy, they're better than a 4-4 football team and a real pain in the ass too. And of course, you know, the coaches know each other and all that. Should be a fun one. I got the Rams winning by like a field goal.
On the Dolphins front, what are you seeing, Chris? Because since Tua's been back, he's had 2 decent games. He's put up 27 points both times. He hasn't looked bad. The defense, it feels like, has been letting them down.
Tua played great last week. I mean,
He did a lot of good stuff last week. Yeah. I mean, you're definitely right in saying that. The offensive line, I think, has been damn good. I mean, really, I feel like they feel the pressure of Tua being back, and there is that goes on in the locker room. Like they know, hey, we got to protect him. We got to run the football a little bit so he doesn't have to drop back and throw it 50 times a game and do stuff like that, right? So there's all of that. And I think they got to continue to stay consistent with the run game if they want to protect Tua. Again, the big thing is all the throws for not many yards, right? That's good. I get it. Explosive plays got to come from somewhere. Is that going to come from the run game? Whatever. I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that week after week here, defenses won't catch up to kind of this new style in which they're playing right now.
Chris, by the way, I would not blame a single player if they don't want to be if they're hesitant and don't want to be the guy that lays the hit that ends to his career. I understand that that's human nature.
It is. You know, it's. There's going to be guys that are aware of that. There's also guys out there that are just like, hey, I'm in crazy mode. This is football. And my coach said when anybody runs, we go and attack and hit them.
Sure.
We'll see where it goes. But no, there are guys are very aware of stuff like that. There's no doubt. Right. And, you know, does it stop a guy from maybe going kamikaze head first trying to hit him? It might with certain players. It might. But I still think as we get deeper into the season, the same laws of football will be applied. Quarterback outside the pocket, quarterback gets treated like everybody, and, you know, defenses are going to continue to preach that even if it's to a QB.
even if they're not actively trying to not hurt him, they're like, his injury, he hurt himself on his concussion this year. Like, he dove head first into Damar Hamlin. So, like,
yes,
even if you're kind of like, let me take a step back and not be the one to knock him out, like, he needs to be better. And he did it 2 games ago where he took off on a run and he slid feet first. But, like, last week he was diving head first again in Buffalo to get a first down.
I know. And that's, he's a great competitor. And I give him respect for all of that. I do. I think, but like you're just bringing up, that's the concern with Tua is on all of his concussions, none of them are like, oh my gosh, that was so violent or crazy or whatever. I just think it's a smaller man who's got a little bit of an issue that way, whether it's neck strength or susceptible to concussion or whatever. And it's just unfortunate that way. And it's where we got to worry about him because it obviously doesn't take much.
It's the on-field reactions we've all seen. They're different than any other concussion.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Start going different ways. It's crazy.
Yeah.
After your injuries, was it hard for you to change your style, or were you just not able to do it?
I mean, no. I mean, my style was my style, which was like standing there and fucking be a soldier and be like Phil Simms and don't worry about the pass rush, right? That's what my style was. I had to just break down the barriers of like, somebody hit me in the chest or hit me where my scar is and just make me like, let me make sure that doesn't split wide open and I lose some other fucking organ, right? So there was a little of that in my first preseason back playing of just like, I couldn't wait to get hit and take a few shots just so I could get over and be like, okay, good. I'm normal. I'm able to take a big shot in the chest or whatever, and I'm still alive and I'm not in the hospital. Those were the kind of mental hurdles I had to deal with.
You guys are psychos.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, yes, we are. we are.
Absolutely crazy.
That's just the way it is.
All right, a couple of quick ones. We get you out of here. Who's the second best team in the NFC?
Oh, the second best team in the NFC is the Philadelphia Eagles. No question in my mind. No question. Right? Philadelphia is not perfect. They're an all-star roster. We know that. You've heard me say that. The defense is playing awesome. The offense, I wish there was more schematical creativity, right? They're bland. Right, but they know who they are, so I give them credit for that. I mean, when I watch Philadelphia, I go, oh, this is the third time I've seen this pass play in the first half. Oh, this is the same run play I've seen 10 times in the first half. They don't, like, it's not trick it up. It's not that. But when Jalen Hurts takes care of the football, they're tough to beat because they're that good, and the scheme is good enough, and they're good enough that they don't need a complicated formula. As we know, they can steamroll you in the run game. You play one-on-one. He throws the ball out on the outside on a go route to Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. That's all they do. But like I said, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, one of those fucking crazy fuckers is going to make a crazy play. All of them are. Jalen Hurts, Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they're all going to make one unbelievable play every game, and that's why they don't need to reinvent the wheel as far as schematics are concerned.
Is Christian McCaffrey coming back going to be enough for the 49ers?
Yes. I mean,
big.
I'll be interested to see if he comes back this week. I think next week, for sure. I don't know. I have no inside info here. I know it's getting close. I do know that. But yeah, he changes around their football team. It's the most creative offensive mind in football with his number one chess piece that annoys everybody. And excuse me, as I'm burping on myself, as I've told you,
steroids.
Defensive coordinators preparing for the 49ers have told me with Christian McCaffrey, I have to have a whole different play sheet than without him. He causes headaches because of his ability and things he does in the pass game and how he can use him off of Debo and all that as well. So I don't know if this is a 49ers Super Bowl team here, but I still think they're one of the best teams in the NFC, and I think we'll see them get hot here and start to put a lot of wins on the board.
Chris, DeAndre Hopkins on the Chiefs seems like cheating.
Well, they needed it, right? And you see that. And now Mahomes has a guy.
They were undefeated before they got him. I mean, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but they needed a guy
right.
to, beat the upper tier teams of football and go, wait, we have a guy in a one-on-one situation we can trust, or, we trust him to sit in the right place of I don't know what kind of zone coverages Detroit's doing in the Super Bowl here, but great field by Hopkins to sit in the right spot, whatever. They needed that 100%. They can't continue to go on with just 2 and 3 tight end sets. And as you see, what I've been trying to say with Xavier Worthy, he's still just a go straight ahead gadget guy. You can't depend on him on the meat and potatoes part of the offense. He just can't play through contact. That's just not who he is. So, yeah, this is where he was big, and I think that will continue to grow as far as trust and more plays is hitting the number one read in that offense.
Is it time to tear it all down in Dallas?
Everything.
I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, what I almost want to say is like, it's not even that much to tear down. What are we tearing down? I mean, the old offensive line? Oh, the old guys? Oh, gosh, we got to tear them down. Oh, a bunch of guys on the defensive line that are, okay. Yeah, we want Micah Parsons back. Great. Yeah, we know we want that. Okay, we want Demarion Overshawn, the linebacker, back. Great, we know that. Trayvon Diggs, we want him back. Maybe Deron Bland, CD Lamb, Dak Prescott, everybody else, get the hell out of here. They're expendable. Move on. Right. That's what it's time to do that in Dallas, definitely.
Why would you not take this opportunity to at least see if there's something there with Trey Lance? Like, why wouldn't you do that? You traded for him.
Well, that says it all.
Yeah,
Stugotz. I mean,
right.
You're right. Why wouldn't you? Because they haven't seen shit to tell you. Let's take a chance on him. They're going. Cooper Kupp is better, 100%. They wasted a fourth-round pick on Trey Lance after we know the greatest offensive coach in the sport couldn't fucking make it work with the guy with an all-star team around him. And they went, yeah, we'll trade a fourth round because we're Dallas and we're not creative and not as good as you, but we'll make it work somehow. And then the stupid trade this week, they've traded 2 fourth-round picks for 2 guys where I'm going to go, what the fuck are you thinking in Dallas? Like, what are you doing?
So weird.
Like, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. I don't know what Dallas is thinking right now.
All right, we'll let you go here. Did you fire Aaron Boone after the Yankees lost? What happened?
Wow. No, I don't have that kind of power. I don't have that kind of power.
It is time for this week's edition of Stugotz, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. College football, week 11, 5-6 a week ago, 51, 44-2 on the season. Got a bunch of games. Man, I got to do less games. I can't resist. Florida plus 21.5 at Texas. I am taking Florida here. Texas wins the game. Florida covers. Texas by 10 points at home. Syracuse plus 2. They're at Boston College. Buy it up to 2.5. Syracuse going to win the game outright. Syracuse wins by 7 points on the road. Big game. Georgia minus 2.5 at Mississippi. Georgia wins and covers. Georgia by 10 points on the road. Michigan plus 14.5. They're at Indiana. No one believes in Indiana. I believe in Indiana. I just don't believe they'll beat Michigan by more than 14.5 points. Buy it up to 15. Michigan covers. Indiana wins. Indiana by 7 points at home. Iowa State minus 2.5 at Kansas. Buy it down to 2. I'm taking Iowa State. Still have a chance to make the playoff. Iowa State wins by 10 points on the road. Army undefeated minus 5.5 at North Texas. I am taking Army. Army wins. They cover. Army by 14 points on the road. NC State taking on Duke. Duke coming off a bad loss against Miami. NC State favored by 3 at home. Buy it down to 2.5. I am taking the Wolfpack to win and cover. They win by 10 points at home. Colorado minus 3.5 at Texas Tech. Buy it down to 3 and take Colorado. They win. They cover. Colorado by 8 points on the road. Vandy, I believe in them. Plus 3.5. They're taking on South Carolina at home. Buy it up to 4. Vandy wins outright. They win by 3 and they cover. Arizona State minus 2.5. Taking on UCF. Arizona State wins. They cover. Arizona State by 14 points. Alabama at LSU. Bama minus 2.5. They win. They cover. Alabama by 10 points on the road. And finally, BYU minus 3.5 at Utah. Buy it down to 3. Take BYU. They win. They cover. The Cougars remain undefeated. They win by 7 points on the road. NFL 5-2 a week ago. 41, 24-2 on the season. I am on fire. Bills minus 4. They're taking on the Colts by a full point. Buy it down to 3. The Bills win. They cover. The Bills by 10 points over the Colts. Chiefs minus 7.5. Taking on the Broncos. Buy it down to 7. The Chiefs, I can't believe I'm saying this. They're getting better. Oh, my God. DeAndre Hopkins, the offense is starting to click. The Chiefs win. They cover the Chiefs by 17 points at home. Bucks +6 at home with the 49ers. Buy it up to 6.5. 49ers win. Bucks cover. 49ers by 3 points over the Bucks. Chargers -7.5. They're taking on the Titans at home. Buy it down to 7. The Chargers win by 21 points at home. Jets -1 at Arizona. We're going to be there. The Jets, I can't believe I'm saying it. Mikey A, close your ears. The Jets win and they cover. The Jets by 4 points on the road. Texans +4 taking on the Lions. I don't know if the Texans are good. I think the Lions are great. I'm going to take the Lions to win, the Texans to cover, the Lions by a field goal. And finally, Monday Night Football, Rams. They're getting hot and they're getting healthy. Taking on the Dolphins. Rams -1. Against the Dolphins, I'm taking the Rams. They win, they cover the Rams by 6 points at home. Those are the picks, everyone. Good luck.